interesting stuff. So again, thank you all for joining us. Happy Friday. My name is Shiva Raja. I'm the Technical Solutions Architect, and along with me, I have Jason Delasio, who is one of our awesome senior SEs, and he will be delivering us a nice live demonstration of our product. Now, that being said, I expect this session to be extremely interactive. Please, if you have any questions, suggestions, concerns, please share it out on chat, or you can certainly unmute yourself and ask those questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them for you. That being said, let's just get started. So today's session is about what is new with HYCU's multi-cloud data protection solution with Nutanix Mine V3. Now, before we start, I just like to make some disclaimers. This session is obviously being recorded. We will be sharing the recorded session especially for folks. This will be useful for folks who were not able to make it, especially when the folks that have registered and they're the ones that were not able to attend. So again, as I mentioned before, feel free to ask any questions. If you can write them on chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask those questions. The more questions that you guys ask, the better the session is, because let's face it, this entire presentation is geared for you. And again, one last request, please use your real first name and last name, because we'll be picking up a lucky winner at the end of our session, and our lucky winner will basically receive a HYCU swag box. So with that being said, let's get into the session. Now, about our company. We are headquartered in Boston. We have more than 25 years worth of experience in data protection. As a matter of fact, we actually created 8 major backup and recovery solutions. We were responsible for engineering and developing it. Unfortunately, we cannot share the name because we were basically creating them for certain blue chip companies. And finally, we basically, decided, why can't we just come up with our own backup and recovery solution? And that's exactly when we decided to partner with Nutanix. And the strength of our company truly lies in our engineering team, because our goal was to create an extremely simple and straightforward backup and recovery solution that is scalable and enterprise ready. And Nutanix basically fit the perfect bill, because we were the first ones to offer a more comprehensive purpose-built data protection solution. And this was back like in 2017. Now we have come a long way. And today we'd like to talk more about what we do, especially for Nutanix-led data center. In addition to that, I also like to point out that our NPS score is 91 plus, which is like highest of any backup vendor. The reason why I say that is because our NPS score is not just based on simple customer service. It is actually based on the entire the customer engagement from start to finish, from beginning with the call, a sales engagement call, to doing a POC, to also doing the entire customer engagement process, where you actually have the product procurement, and if there are any issues, it also gets down to customer support. So it's the overall experience that accounts to our NPS score of 91 plus. So that is one of our core values. Now, when it comes to HYCU, we've noticed a lot of our customers, even Nutanix-led customers, are involved in a multi-cloud situation. They have a rich environment of Nutanix with VMware running on non-Nutanix platforms, or a couple of physical servers, and they also have some involvement with the cloud, like it could be Google Cloud, Azure, AWS. And we can actually see that this hybrid cloud strategy's adoption is pretty much in an upward trend. And one of the things that we are noticing on the field is the overall hybrid cloud optimization, which is a constant effort. And at the end of the day, there is no unified management, right? I mean, unified management is pretty much non-existent. That is something that we are noticing within our competitors. And that is exactly why we have this HYCU Protege, which is truly a multi-cloud data protection solution that offers a purpose-built platform that leverages your underlying operating system, your underlying platform, such as Nutanix or VMware or any cloud vendor, and we offer you one of the most efficient data protection, migration, and DR capabilities with built-in application awareness. And obviously, all of our backups are 100% protected from your ransomware attacks. So if you have any problems or any questions, we will be able to basically help you out with any of those ransomware attacks by performing an instantaneous and seamless data recovery. Now, when it comes to Nutanix Mine with HYCU, in this particular instance, we actually are coming up with a more packaged data protection solution where HYCU is deployed within a highly efficient Nutanix objects cluster that is the underlying platform that is powering the Nutanix Mine. And in this particular case, we have the ability to provide a more seamless and a complete platform coverage data protection for your Nutanix and for your non-Nutanix environment. Now, when I'm talking about Nutanix, I'm obviously talking about AHV. I'm also talking about VMware running on Nutanix and VMware running on a typical 3-tier architecture, right? And on top of it, we also have the ability to protect all of your applications, be it standard applications like your Microsoft SQL database, Exchange, Oracle, SAP HANA, or non-standard applications that are homegrown. We will be able to protect all of these applications and your VMs in an application consistent manner. And when it comes to doing secondary backups, right, to tapes or to leftover storage that could be repurposed as a secondary hardware, or doing backups to the cloud like AWS or Azure or Google, we have the ability to do seamless secondary backups or copies or archives to these cloud infrastructure in a pure agentless fashion, right? And that is exactly what I'll be showcasing in our demonstration or in our entire session today. So now, what is the true value of HYCU with Nutanix Mine, and why should you really consider HYCU with Nutanix Mine? The first reason is its inbuilt simplicity, right? What I mean by that is with HYCU and Nutanix Mine put together, we actually have this ability to converge all of your backup and recovery functionality into one single platform. And we also have the ability to consolidate these backups into a more secure location. I'll be talking more about security, but this HYCU with Nutanix Mine actually is powered by Nutanix's hyperconverged infrastructure and HYCU's simplicity that provides you a more holistic data protection solution for your entire Nutanix-led data center. And when it comes to the ease of use, HYCU and Nutanix Mine are extremely simple and easy to use, especially with HYCU. We offer you that one-click simplicity for the most complex data protection workflows and data recovery workflows. And ultimately, the combination of HYCU and Nutanix Mine offers you an extremely fast time to value because we are very super easy to deploy, and it requires literally minimal maintenance and extremely fast upgrades. So that is the whole reason why your HYCU with Nutanix Mine is an extremely simplified and easy to use solution. That's the first reason. Now, the second reason, which I personally believe is even more important, is we are very, very native to your Nutanix-led data center or to your Nutanix-led workloads. Here are the reasons. The first reason, good as any, is we make use of Nutanix's snapshots for impact-free backups on your production environment. What I mean by that is, obviously, when it comes to AHV environment, we make use of your Nutanix snapshots for crash consistent or even application consistent backups. But here's the differentiator. When it comes to ESX on Nutanix, we are the only vendor in the market today that make use of Nutanix snapshots for a data consistent backups. You won't have this issue of VM stun or any performance issues because we don't make use of VADP snapshots, especially if ESX is running on your Nutanix environment. And this also applies to restores, again, because we are the only vendor in the market today that make use of Nutanix snapshots for granular recovery. It could be your files or folders or applications, whatever you want. We basically have the ability to make use of these Nutanix snapshots for extremely fast, rapid recovery. In addition to that, we are 100% agentless across the board. I mean, it's not just about backing up your VMs. I mean, we are agentless when it comes to backing up your applications like Microsoft SQL or Exchange. And we are also agentless when it comes to backing up your physical servers. So the amount of time it takes for you to deploy is like minuscule, and you don't have to worry about deploying these tiny agents on every guest VM or on your physical server. And there is no performance penalty because of agents running 24/7 within your guest VMs. And we are the first vendor when it comes to supporting the Nutanix's latest and greatest features. We started with AHV, then we continued with supporting ESX, like specialized support for ESX running on Nutanix. Then we supported Nutanix files, volume groups, robo topologies. Like, I mean, anything that Nutanix can throw at us, we will be the first ones to support the customer's Nutanix-led data center, right? And that is exactly why we claim ourselves to have a laser-focused alignment with Nutanix's roadmap, because we have an extremely tight integration and a good working relationship with Nutanix engineering team, where we have our roadmap aligned in such a way that when a new firmware or of Nutanix file or AOS shows up, we will be the first ones to support those firmwares. And Nutanix is not just a strategic partner. Nutanix IT is also our customer, right? They have several partners, but they chose us. And Nutanix IT is our paid HYCU customer, where they basically make use of HYCU to protect their infrastructure, which is no surprise. Now, the third reason that I wanted to talk about is data security. Now, we all know about these ransomware attacks, especially the one that happened with Colonial Pipe, where there was an extremely gas shortage in the southeast region of the United States. So I'm sure everybody knows about this security threat of ransomware attacks, right? So HYCU with Nutanix Mine is probably one of the best combinations to protect you from such attacks. The reason is because, number one, with regards to Nutanix Mine, there is a high availability capability where you don't have to worry about your backup infrastructure going down because of the ability to fail over to any Nutanix node when there's a single point of failure, or when there are risks of single point of failure. Now, when it comes to ransomware recovery, HYCU and Nutanix Mine has an awesome combo, right? Nutanix Mine has the ability to support worm-based functionality, where we have worm-based object storage. And HYCU, on the other hand, is specifically designed to do high-performance backups on worm-enabled object storage. So you basically have highly secure plus high-performance backups at a fraction of a cost. Now, in addition to that, both HYCU and Nutanix Mine are security hardened. I mean, I don't have to, talk about the security preparedness for Nutanix Mine because it pretty much follows the principles of Nutanix AOS. But when it comes to HYCU, our underlying operating system is CentOS, right? So we are responsible for patching that operating system up to the point there where every upgrade actually has tons of security patches. And we always keep a constant eye on any of the vulnerabilities that get discovered. And when they do get discovered, we will be responsible for patching, your CentOS operating system underneath your HYCU controller to ensure that there are no vulnerabilities or there are no security threats. And in addition to that, we also have the ability to lock down the entire VM by preventing the SSH access so that there is no backdoor access. In addition to that, HYCU provides you an extremely secure multi-tenancy, and we have one-of-a-kind multi-tenancy because it's not just about using effective role-based access control. We also have the ability to have secure ownership rights, where when resources are assigned to a specific group, those resources have their own database, have their own secured metadata, which won't be accessed even by the administrator unless that administrator has explicit rights. And last but not the least, HYCU provides not just ransomware protection, but an overall air gap backup. What I mean by that is we have the ability to secure your backups totally from your primary infrastructure by encrypting the traffic, by providing detailed network segmentation, and in addition to that, doing backups to worm-based object storage, right? So overall, HYCU with Nutanix Mine provides you a total air gap backups from your production environment so that if your production gets compromised, your backups are still available to recover you from any of those ransomware or malware attacks. Number 4, it's scalability, right? When it comes to scalability, our solution is extremely scalable and flexible because of Nutanix Objects' ability to scale across. and HYCU's ability to scale with an extremely lightweight footprint. And we also have the ability to connect to your cloud-based infrastructure for archival and tiering purposes with absolutely no agents or plugins. And when it comes to performing upgrades, both HYCU and Nutanix Mine with objects is extremely simple and easy to upgrade. It's basically going to take less than a couple of minutes to maybe 15 minutes, and you don't have to schedule a downtime for your HYCU or for your Nutanix Mine while performing those operations. Last but not the least, we are the most cost-efficient solution. Like, you can actually start small with Nutanix Mine, and you can pay as you grow. And when you're scaling up, when you're just adding one node at a time for your Nutanix Mine, especially powered by objects, that particular node is not just adding to capacity, but it's also adding to performance. And when it comes to HYCU, as I mentioned before, you actually have best of both worlds. What I mean by that is you have high performance backups that is engineered proprietarily within HYCU to do efficient backups to your object storage. And in that process, you actually have high security, and you achieve both security and high performance at a fraction of a cost when you compare against our competitors. And when it comes to platform options, like especially with Nutanix objects, you actually have the ability to deploy Nutanix objects, not just from Nutanix provided hardware, but there is a plethora of hardware options that you can deploy your Nutanix objects AOS on the supported hardware platform. And last but not the least, with HYCU, along with Nutanix Mine, you actually have a multi-cloud option as well. If you'd like to tier your backups to a cloud vendor in the near future, we have the ability to do seamless backups, copies, and archives to vendors like Azure, AWS, and Google. So I've talked a lot, given you a high-level overview of why HYCU with Nutanix Mine is the best solution. Now I'd like to pass the ball to my friend, Jason Delasio. He'll be delivering us a nice live demonstration.
Thank you, Shiva.
Thank you.
Yep. Once you stop sharing, I'll take over. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. How is everyone doing today? So basically what I want to start here with is the centralized management plane. So this is Protégé itself, where I can consolidate in a single pane of glass my entire infrastructure, whether it's on-prem, in the cloud, Office 365, everything is all in one single visible pane of glass. It's interactive. You can simply click anywhere in this dashboard and it will take you directly to any of the actual controllers that we're going to manage in a single pane of glass. Now, with that said, today we're talking about Mine. So let's jump over to our Mine cluster here. And basically what we're going to do is log into the tool set. Now, what happens is the hardware actually ships, it drops, you configure it. Once it's up and running and the actual cluster is available through Prism, at that point, HYCU can be deployed on that cluster. We're simply an image that gets deployed. You launch us through Prism or through vCenter. And at that point, once the actual cluster's up and running, we simply add the target, the HYCU objects or the Mine cluster as a target to that actual cluster. And it's simple and automated. Basically, we come in here and name it appropriately, however you wish. This is where you can turn on compression. But basically what we're going to do is turn on the Nutanix Mine option. At this point now, I just put my Prism URL for that actual Mine cluster, my credentials, and then now I have the ability to set up the entire container. So I can choose if I want erasure coding, if I have 4 nodes or more. Hardware compression typically is a yes, if you would like encryption to be enabled or not. Once you configure this, everything is done in the background. HYCU actually orchestrates the whole process, builds out the container, adds itself as a target, and then it will simply show up here in your list of targets that are out there. So it's really a simple way to deploy HYCU, the most fastest, to production, basically. Now, the other option is Nutanix Objects. Objects is managed through Prism Central. So once you go through services and you deploy objects and build an objects cluster, as soon as the bucket is ready, then simply enough, you add the objects cluster as an AWS S3 endpoint, which is basically right here, an S3 compatible. You would just simply replace this endpoint with the actual bucket URL, the public facing bucket URL, and then obviously your access keys and secret keys. And at that point, HYCU will ingest that bucket as a target and you're ready to go. So what's really fun about HYCU and being agentless is the point that as soon as I add my sources, this is how we actually add sources in the HYCU. I'm going to jump to a different cluster here to give you a little bit more of a bigger environment here. So now, without any agents, any connectors, any media servers, anything, I'm with one single HYCU controller managing a legacy 3-tier VMware environment. I'm also managing a Nutanix ESX environment, 2 different AHV Nutanix clusters, as well as a Nutanix files cluster. In addition to that, several physical machines, Windows and Linux. So all of these different entities here are all compiled into one single controller without any other type of, again, agent connector, third-party VMs, Windows-based VMs that are obviously vulnerable themselves. I don't need SQL servers to run any reporting mechanisms. Everything's compiled into one single VM, which makes life so much more simpler. Now, I've added sources. You can see all of my VMs are ingested into my HYCU. We synchronize every 5 minutes with these sources. So when it's time to actually assign a policy to a VM, I just simply click on the VM, assign a policy, and then I just pick and choose the policies. By default, there's 4. There's gold, silver, bronze, and an exclusion policy. As soon as the policy is assigned, the VM is scheduled to be backed up. Now, from a policy perspective, what's really fun is this is more of an SLA approach, right? So at the policy level, I have the default enablement where I can use it as a catch-all mechanism, or I can actually predefine a tag, an attribute in vCenter, or the category in Prism Central. So when the VM is even created, all the way at the highest level of Calm, which is a blueprint deployment of multiple VMs or an application stack, or even with vCenter Realize Operations, right? I can actually deploy an attribute to the VMs that as soon as the VM is created and discovered in HYCU, 5 minutes later, it'll be scheduled to be backed up, right? So it's orchestration through the whole tool set. Now, what I also want to showcase here is within the VMs, because we're so tightly integrated with Nutanix, this is where the beauty of those snapshots, the storage level snapshots, to completely remove VM stun out of your backup environment is where we're leveraging these snapshots. We're retaining and managing these snapshots. This is a HYCU only feature, which is called fast restore, which allows us to have application consistent backups where we can actually back up SQL Server, Oracle, but retain additional snapshots for a longer period of time to give you instant recovery capabilities, right? And I say instant, I mean instant because this snapshot resides on the production cluster. All of the backup data is 100% being written to a target, okay? So don't ever think the snapshot is a single point of failure. It's absolutely not. It allows us to do restores within seconds. And also the fact that I can do file level recovery, VM cloning. I can actually do cross hypervisor restoration. I could back up physicals and restore to AHV or ESX. I could back up ESX, restore to AHV, and vice versa. So it's a really awesome tool set that allows us to simply do any type of VM restoration, file level recovery, and even spin up into the cloud natively to that cloud's hypervisor. Today is GCP and Azure, so Hyper-V and KVM. Soon coming down the road is AWS. So we're excited about those feature sets as well. Now, a couple other things. The application discovery is, again, agentless. This is all a patented process. By simply deploying some credentials in HYCU, we can auto-detect any type of signatures for applications. And at that point, you're able to protect those applications at the application layer. Also, such as applications like SAP HANA or Clustered SQL or DAGs, we actually are the only tool that can back up Nutanix volume groups today. This is extremely important now for Carbon. If you guys are looking to get into containerization with Kubernetes, we can actually back up this infrastructure today. In the very near future, you'll be able to actually assign a volume group itself a policy and actually do a direct restore of the volume group. So we're excited about that as well. In addition to Nutanix files, we actually co-developed the change file API with Nutanix, and then Nutanix themselves are a customer of HYCU, so we're very proud of that relationship. We co-developed these APIs so that we can give you game-changing backups for Nutanix files, obviously volume groups. And this is where it's a super powerful tool set that I can browse any restore point within my files infrastructure and instantaneously recover any of these files directly back to the same share, a different share. And it's the same process or flow to back up a VM, restore a file level, restore back to a VM, any VM. I can even protect, change the path, or even just download it local to my laptop or desktop. So it's really a simple tool set to deploy, super easy to manage, and overall, the self-service portal here, where you can simply come in here and manage as an infrastructure group with your own roles and users, you can actually assign that ownership capability to where now you can isolate a particular environment directly to the owners of that infrastructure, where they can only see the application allocated to them, only the virtual machines, and only the file shares. They cannot alter the policies, and they don't even see any targets. So it's truly a micro-segmentation of the environment, which is a really powerful tool. Everything that you're seeing here is 100% inclusive in the licensing. We don't license by particular feature sets. So we're really proud of that. In a nutshell, give us a try. There's the test drive out there for Nutanix. You can call HYCU or visit HYCU.com and absolutely have a trial period where you can actually evaluate the HYCU product. I think that's enough there. Shiva, if you're ready to take over.
Absolutely. Thank you for the awesome demo, Jason.
Welcome.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hey, Jay, just to confirm, can you see my screen?
You're good to go.
All right, thank you. All right, so with that being said, I would like to summarize with the top 5 reasons why Nutanix Mine is really, really amazing with HYCU. Number 1, as I mentioned before, this is extremely simple and easy to use, not just for usability, but also with regards to deployment, maintenance, and upgrades. In addition to that, we are one of the most native solutions for Nutanix that money can buy, right? We can support your AHV, your ESX, specialized support on ESX on Nutanix with absolutely no VM stun, high performance backups. We can support your Nutanix files, volume groups, Robo, NearSync, you name it, we've got it, right? In addition to that, our backups are highly secure. We have documented records where we have actually helped customers to recover from ransomware attacks. Unfortunately, we cannot share the names, but we have helped several customers from ransomware attacks due to backup immutability properties within HYCU. In addition to that, our solution is extremely scalable, be it with regards to HYCU or your Nutanix Mine. We have the ability to scale up, scale across your entire data center. And in addition to that, we are 100% cost efficient. So all of these awesome capabilities that we offer can be achieved at a fraction of a cost when you compare our solution with our competitors. So with that being said, let's get into the fun thing. So it's time for us to pick our lucky winner for the HYCU swag box. So I'm going to switch to Katerina. And the winner is Amy. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, so I don't want to mess that up. Amy, thank you for joining us. You will be contacted via email for the HYCU swag box. Thank you very much.
Amy, hope.
All right, let me just close the chat box. All right, so I'd just like to leave a minute or two for some Q&A. I'm just going to open up the chat box. Again, if you folks have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, ask those questions. If not, please type those questions on the chat box. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Let me see. I don't know, for some reason, I'm not able to bring up the chat box.
So the CentOS question is, we are currently working with another operating system. It's in the works today because we are aware that the end of life for CentOS is coming in the near future. But so no worries about that. That is being addressed today. And once we have the full support, it'll obviously be in our documentation.
All right, I'm just going to give Just a couple of more seconds. Do you see anything else, Jason, on the chat?
GovCloud options. So yes, any of the targets, if you leverage the GovClouds as targets, we can 100% support them. For HYCU running in a .gov environment or a government cloud, you could contact us separately if you want. I'll leave my email in here, and I can ask a few of the requirements you're looking for, and then give you an exact answer, if that makes sense. So there's my email inside of the chat. But we can absolutely target to any of the GovClouds.
Also, one of the things that I would like to point out is if you'd like to have more information about us, please reach out to us at info@hycu.com, or please visit us at www.hycu.com, and you'll find out more information. And please feel free to contact us if you have more information. If you'd like to have a more detailed demonstration or a technical discussion, we'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, so having that said, thank you very much for joining our session, folks. And again, happy Friday. We will be following up with all of you with the recorded session link in a couple of days. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.